Louisa.
Jonathan.
Jolie.
Cat.
Yeah, Johnny.
Okay, cool. Do you wanna record it so we can do the things, or do you want me to
I was
record
trying to see
it?
what the people's experience of the notes was,
Oh,
but
yeah. We had notes. Did you guys all see the notes from last time?
It was a lot. That was probably my
a lot.
one thing that I was like, nobody's gonna sit through and read some of this. And I will say it was a little, some of the points were not necessarily direct to what we were talking about, or they were just like summarized in a way that was like, But that's like AI. So I'm,
Do you
it's
want
not that.
Here they are.
Yeah, they're pretty
They
thick.
came in our packet from, so funny, this is like other people's notes. And then
This is ours. It's like 1.5 pages.
I mean, if you actually care, it's like interesting.
it did though say like, yeah. So.
Your what?
It said speaker one, speaker two.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
understand
that was
that. I
something
mean,
Did do that. It was like mixing everybody's voice up, so that was a little weird. Speaker
and I know I had
15.
some points that I wasn't recognized for, so. I mean, I
It was
like,
Anthony. I saw Anthony on Sunday. He said he was gonna be here.
Oh, who's not here yet?
Yeah, he's not here yet.
Anthony's not here.
Are you
Neither
looking for the
is-
youth committee?
Maybe, in the back, yeah.
Wait, let's just
Yeah,
finish
yeah,
these
yeah,
ideas.
yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
That was just me.
So, do you guys wanna have a secretary?
I just always feels like it means someone
Yeah?
can't participate
Okay.
fully.
No, I think you can. It doesn't have to be like so in depth. Basically, our notes are to tell the other committees what we've been doing.
yeah, I think
Okay, who wants to do it today?
Well then, let's
We
just
could,
keep
like,
it the
rotate.
AI. Let's just keep it AI. Let's just keep it AI.
Oh,
Because
we'll keep it at AI?
maybe why don't you? Is it possible to like get the AI thing and then send out like for revisions?
Yeah, I did, I sent it to Vanessa, I was
Yeah,
watching
she
it, I
sent
sent
it
it
to
to
me,
Vanessa.
but I was like, I'm just gonna
It's
send
in
it
your
to her.
inbox.
Yeah.
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 That's fine.
Well, so for example,
I did edit actually a couple things.
for example, what we could do is in the beginning, just say, I'm speaker one, my name is Louisa, whatever, and we could go around and do that and see at least it would then accurately identify people by
Oh,
name
give
instead of
each other
speaker
speaker
one,
name.
whatever.
Okay.
That
can
would be
also
crazy
probably-
if she does that. If
It
your
would,
AI
yeah.
does that, send the
You said
link.
if she, my AI.
Yeah.
So I'm
Well,
the mastermind.
I'm one of those people where I'm like, I do the she for all objects
Okay.
instead of he's. Just a personal preference here, so AI is the
Okay.
total or she's.
I'm okay using the AI and sending it out, and then as we take notes, update, and then we can send out notes too.
Okay.
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 Alright, cool. So record.
Master AI.
Do you want to be the recorder?
Not Allen Iverson.
The
I can. I don't know
recorder.
how to record on this.
No, it's fine. I'm gonna try it directly in this app and we're going to, do you mind doing the go around one more time?
No, just tell us when to go.
Are we doing like
It's gonna be
I'm,
1, 2.
I was gonna say, are we doing like I'm speaker one?
No, we should just say our names.
Let's try it.
She can decide. Okay. I don't know. What do you think? I've never used it. Me neither. I don't know. Let's find out.
Whatever.
Oh, it's gonna be ready.
I'm trying to figure out if I'm ready. No, I feel freaked out about all of this.
Really?
Just so you know, it was the first time I did it, was the last meeting. It wasn't
But
like.
it, I mean, it
It
was
works
good.
fine.
It's
Yeah.
better than
What-
nothing.
The only thing that I was impressed by was that it felt like it grabbed things from different parts of the hour and a half and kind of organized them
Yes.
into topics that an ordinary human would not have done. They would have just done the chronological. So.
Yes.
I agree on that. That's
Like the
something-
overview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we want.
Ask
Our
Otter
content is
or
the
admin should be better. Okay.
I agree. So ultimately, it was better. Great.
Sorry.
That's okay.
We'll just do it, should we just do it the same way we did last time?
Yeah.
And see what happens? Okay.
And just record and then upload later.
I recorded and then added it and then uploaded it into
Yeah.
the, yeah. Otherwise it was giving me the transcript and that already kind of freaked me out. Actually, let's try it, let's see if it works. Cancel. Go ahead.
Ready?
Yes, okay.
Are we saying our names?
Yes.
But,
Eloise,
yeah,
I'm Vanessa.
Lisa,
I'm Louisa.
Jonathan.
Jolie.
Kat.
Involvement.
Okay, great. Okay, so, before we start with everything else, I'm gonna have Jonathan tell us a little bit about the chamber and what they do and all that kind of stuff.
So I'm Jonathan Marable from Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. Happy to be here. So the chamber, 4 basic things they do. It's like promotion of small businesses. They provide support services, which I think a few people here are familiar with. There's advocacy on behalf of small businesses to elected officials and other agencies. And there's convening opportunities, so like networking. So those are the 4 basic things that the chamber does. They do have a membership, but just so you know, for the services, you don't need to be a member. It's a thing people get confused about sometimes. So, yeah. It's for free.
Okay.
One of those things that we provide is something called the New York City Small Business Resource Network. Sometimes you see people have things about it. I have some flyers as well. Within that, there's something called the Open and Online program, through which people can actually get free websites built for them. So right now, we're doing either basic websites or e-commerce websites. Additionally, if people need help like getting a new logo or branding, we can help with that as well through that program. And there are 2 things that I just wanted to announce. First off, I will actually be visiting.
Hey, this is economic development.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I'll actually be going out to Flatbush Avenue between Empire and Parkside, just to visit businesses with a representative from Impact Brooklyn, because there's a program that they have where actually businesses can get free Amazon Ring cameras for their business. And that includes home-based businesses as well. So we're just gonna let people know about that program. Just visit people if they want to sign up on site, they can, or if they just want information, like we can drop that off too. And additionally, Mark wanted me to mention that we actually just got a grant from SBS for merchant organizers.
Sweet.
And so we are able to help out with efforts on Flatbush Avenue between Parkside and Empire.
Great.
And also, Assemblymember Cunningham said that he'd help out a little bit too. This is the sort of thing that I found out recently myself, and even as before I was coming, I was like, all right, let me get some clarification on what's happening and how this is. So it's like 60,000.
Sweet.
Yeah, and so the
He
sorts.
told me he was applying.
Yeah, like he applied.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, I don't know how many times he tried, but
Yeah.
he got it. We got it
Sweet.
this time. So he wanted me to let y'all know.
Great.
So yeah, those are the main things.
So I talked to Dina Rabner, and she said that you guys do happy hours, but you've never done one around here. So maybe we could do one like at Bodega Lounge, at Catones, or somewhere on Nostrand or Rogers. That might be good, and maybe we could invite like business owners, stuff like that. I don't know who you guys invite to those. Is it just members?
So the after hours events,
Yeah.
typically what will happen, it's open usually to just whichever business owners want to come. However, the last one we had was for members, interestingly enough, and for a specific tier, like, I guess second tier up sort of thing. I was like, what? But,
Well, what are their various
Yeah.
tiers?
so there's 4 different tiers.
And they're all free?
No. For the membership, it's not free, which is why I was like, with the services, you can get that for free.
You don't have to be a member.
You don't have to be a member for that. But if you want to be a member of the chamber, there is a fee structure. The lowest tier is $40 a month or $432 a year. I could connect you with the point person for membership if that's something that you're interested in, but that's not what I'm here for.
To know what the fee structure is.
Oh yeah. So there's
So what's the benefit?
so with that there's like publication in our newsletter which goes out to I think was it 12,000 business owners sort of thing. There's also discounted admission to certain events like paid events. There's of course just opportunities to participate in some networking events that those that aren't members wouldn't be able to go to, and also certain committees that they have within the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. To be able to participate in those committees, you have to be a member. So yeah, there's a few other things, but yeah, I can send a link for the website.
So for the events that you do, are they open to all business owners?
It depends on the event. The business after hours usually are.
Okay.
And that said, for anyone who's interested in hosting one, I can certainly bring that up to the people who are, in charge of membership, because they are actively trying to find sites.
Okay.
And then they'll just sort of coordinate with you in terms of what time, what day, expectations of how many people, that sort of stuff.
How many people usually go?
Depending on the size of the venue,
Mm-hmm.
it could be anywhere from 20 to 200. There was one that was in this huge place and it was packed. I was like, whoa. But
How do they get so many people?
it's just invitations. The newsletter goes out, and sometimes there will be other elected officials that will share information.
Is there a database of all the members that's in the community for the different zones?
Not necessarily separated by zone. We have it by industry.
Okay.
On the website, there's a directory at least of what's up there. I don't know if all the members have been put on that specific directory just yet, but
Public facing,
yeah.
because we could probably, well, if it's exportable, then we could figure out how to narrow it down by our latitude, longitude.
Yeah, it's
How often is that updated, the directory? So new members join, or is it quarterly, yearly? So because we would need an active directory in order for us to interface with people.
well. So this is the thing about that. First, I don't think it's necessarily exportable. They tend to be very protective of that list. But if there's certain industries you can look up, or certain names of businesses you could look up on the website. And in terms of developing a directory, because I know that is one of the things that the funding does help with, creating a website and establishing a directory for merchant organizations. That is something that we can help you put together as well as part of that funding. But I don't know all of it.
So,
I know that's.
just in reference to the grant that you were talking about, are they going to establish a new merchants association, or are they going to change, have you talked to Desmond?
So I called.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, I have another. I'm on an important call." So
Okay.
I tried again before I came. Didn't get through. Just left a message like, "Hey, I'm
Okay.
gonna be on the corridor tomorrow. Hopefully you'll be there."
Yeah, okay.
But yeah.
Just curious how that's going.
Yeah. I mean, from what I know, oftentimes it's meant either for people starting new ones or to support people who are already working on it. Yeah.
Okay.
And need to further
Do
build
something
it out.
with it, yeah, okay.
But from what I understand, the sort of purpose would be to help.
Great.
Cool. Yeah, yeah, Mark was like, yeah, let him know. I was like,
Yeah, it's really good news.
So, question just for clarification, so the grant money can be used for, activities with, on Flatbush between Empire and Parkside only?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just-
yeah.
Okay.
So it's like activities, post development of the directory, the website. You know, in terms of the kinds of activities, I've seen things like.
This is economic development,
Okay.
that's libraries, yeah.
Sorry.
All good.
I've seen things like cleanups and like lighting and, you know,
Yeah,
there's.
holiday lights,
Yeah.
and like cost like 20 or 30
Yeah.
grand.
Surprising.
Yeah.
Up there.
So, yeah,
But,
Awesome.
cool.
I know we
Thanks.
talked last month about, wanting to get resources into the hands of under-resourced businesses, so I think that this website assistance feels like something we should really,
That would be good. Because then that will give us some, we can ask about their part of the, you know, the chamber
Yeah.
and they will join and,
but they don't have to.
they don't have to, but you just use the
Right.
resources.
Yeah, but maybe
But
we
if they
have
get
like,
something out
And so
of it, then maybe they
This
do.
grant, you
want
have to all apply. I mean, obviously that's the application and how's this, the funds, how do you guys choose how's the money dispersed?
so I mean,
Sorry,
I don't know
hold on
how
one second,
exact-
can I just clarify,
Sure.
the $60,000 that you talked about for organizing, and then that is totally separate from the stuff that you already do with existing businesses and sort of in terms of digital support? Okay. Yeah.
So there's 60,000 this grant, so how does that work? I mean, they fill out, then you guys choose, I mean, it's a
no,
board.
the businesses aren't gonna get the money.
Oh.
It's to develop the merchants association
Okay.
for that corridor, which has
Okay.
been like
Like lights.
defunct for the last
Okay,
however
And
many
so it's like
years.
general stuff, I mean, so.
General cleanup,
The
lights.
flags, you have to have the flags.
Okay.
and like support.
beautification.
Well, the
Like-
flags usually, yeah, get paid for
Okay.
twice a day.
All right, cool.
Yeah, yeah, but,
Yeah.
I wish it could be like,
I know,
oh yeah,
right, it
just
would be
give
cool if
this.
we could
So I
make
guess
it
like
fun.
who decides what gets done? I mean, like what's the?
The merchants association.
Okay, good.
So that basically needs to get rebuilt because there is a president, but he hasn't been doing anything for the past few years. So
Can I
I'd
just
love for him
clear-
to come here and meet with us also.
I am curious, so this merchant association, I'm guessing is for all of Brooklyn, it's not
No,
just.
no, no, each corridor has
Each
their
corridor,
own.
right.
Okay,
So that was like one of the things that we were gonna talk about today. We can talk about it right now.
yeah, that
you
would be
want.
helpful.
So-
So which corridor
so
are we talking
on-
about?
We're talking about Flatbush, so between Parkside and Empire, there's one merchants association.
Okay.
Supposedly, rumor has it that the bid, that's at Church and Flatbush going to Parkside is going to engulf that merchants association. That's been the rumor.
Because a merchant association is like a precursor to a bid, correct? It's like less
Sorta.
structured, less
Less-
formalized,
less
yes, it's just a, okay.
Expensive.
Yeah, oftentimes.
I'm going to the meeting tomorrow for the church advocate, because they invited Dante and Fred and I will find out
Okay.
if this, because now that we have this grant, it's like, do we need the bid anymore?
I mean, you don't have so. I mean, I know there's advantages to a bid versus a merchants association. I would say the main things for the bid is that you're guaranteed funding because you know there's a certain.
Yeah, the door.
It's open.
Or sometimes the buzzer should ring.
I know, but it's really loud.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Is there a little thing where we can just crack it door thing? No?
I can knock on the bell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In there?
No,
Right
no,
here.
no,
Oh,
this is-
right.
Hi.
I'm gonna wear my mask, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Someone see?
That's not-
Can
Can I sit here?
You can
No,
sit
this-
there.
but that's
Oh,
the
yeah,
camera.
the camera, so you
Zip
can
corner.
sit
It's the
here.
zip corner. It's okay. You guys protect.
I don't have a mask though.
She knew.
She knew.
Well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, the bid that they talked about takeover would be like 3 to 5 years, so the funding will be gone. Yeah, by then. So it won't overlap, but anyway, I will let you guys know at the next meeting what happens. tomorrow night with this big meeting. It's interesting that they invited us. The other corridors, you probably know more about Nostrand. There's a Nostrand Ave Merchants Association and then a North Nostrand Merchants Association. And
Yeah,
do you know the dividing line?
Eastern Parkway.
Eastern Parkway, okay. So there's two different presidents of these different ones. Okay, Eastern Parkway to Linden and then Eastern Parkway to Atlantic is the other one. So it's like kind of in our, no, the Eastern Parkway to Atlantic, the north one isn't.
Yeah.
So that one's not. So it's just the
Like right
Nostrand
after
one.
the boundary of CB8 and CB9.
Yeah. And then Rogers, I don't think has one. Does anyone know if Rogers has a merchant association? Oh, great.
I mean, I don't think so, but you know, something I've always kind of wondered is like, I see all these things with Little Caribbean
Yeah.
going around, and I know they have like quite the reach.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious as to like whether or not they're looking to start up merchants associations.
Oh,
Let's say on Friday.
that'd be cool.
That's my hope and goal. I wanted to pose that question to Shelley, to be quite honest. Nostrand Ave, the one that is in this district, is basically non-existent. I don't recall her name. It's something with an N. She houses.
Lindy Way, she
Yeah.
used to, I think.
Oh,
Still
she
does.
Naomi.
Yes, maybe it's Naomi, is who I'm thinking of. Whichever is housing Anthony Beckford's office, that's where she is, allegedly, apparently, and still is, I don't know. She doesn't make herself known. She hasn't introduced herself to anybody. Nobody knows it exists at this moment. Shelley and her team at Little Caribbean has been doing a lot of efforts. They have a merchant associate like group, so we meet once a month, and then they give us like updates from city and state. They hear out all of our like grievances, and then they come back the next meeting with like some solutions or resources based off of like what we shared.
Association like, so.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah,
So
so,
are they
that's who I
doing-
essentially just work with only.
Rogers too?
It's just basically the businesses. I don't think there's any businesses on Rogers currently that go to it, if I'm not mistaken. I know Rogers Garden was kind of a part of it, but they're up for sale, so she doesn't like really include that much at the moment.
Oh, Rogers Gardens up for sale.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Wow. That's it.
Okay, so
So
Basically,
and
you
what is
have
it?
Little
What are the
Caribbean.
parameters for their, or, I mean, it's not a, it sounds like it's a,
She goes up to
Non-governmental.
church for sure. I think it's more so heavily concentrated on Nostrand. I know it's Flatbush in general. I know the reaches up to church because of some of the businesses on church are part of it. And then she's all the way up to like Culpepper's and Allen's and what's that? Maybe Link Cable or something like that. But well, no, because Miss Barb's participates too, and Miss Barb's Sterling.
Go up to Linden.
So how does she get the word out? She just
At
Is
this
awesome.
she has like she has a team, and they definitely go like approaching and reaching out to different businesses, and they do the SBS truck also, so they walk with them to the different businesses in the area as well, and then like whoever wants to work with them, they just fill out a form in their circulation for sure. I mean, she got me a Time Out magazine, so I'm forever grateful.
That's awesome. I used to love to do that. Remember when I forgave Jeffrey?
With that being said, I'm confused with all this,
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I just
I'm
need
not
to just
gonna
spot
lie.
out
Yeah,
any
it's very,
timeline.
like, basic.
I think-
What's the line? I'm confused.
So basically, like each corridor is its own thing. For
Yeah.
some weird reason, they don't mingle.
Exactly.
So Nostrand is one, Rogers is
Well, I think
another.
the overlay, but like from here to here, and who's supposed to be in charge of that, like, I guess.
Yeah, I think
that's part of the-
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying for
So
them.
unfortunately, it seems as though a lot of people who are supposed to be in charge haven't done anything in a really long time. And I would love to invite them to our meeting so we could be like, hey, we'd love to collab with you. What are you guys working on?
Dante has spoken to the Nostrand Ave one. I know he had a meeting with them over the summer. So
Okay,
maybe we
great.
could get
So
it.
maybe we could
Yeah.
have her come, and then I would love to invite Desmond. He's from the Flatbush one. If I can like hard one to get.
So it's like we kind of, it's like economic,
This much time.
it's an economic investment, so it'll be our responsibility to reach out to these people. And
Yeah,
talk. Okay,
invite
yeah.
them to
So I
our
guess, yeah, I
meeting,
need to know
see
who
what they're
was what.
working on, yeah, and we can just see what they have to say.
But I think it's also really important to figure out as this
Yeah.
convening, how do we take the $60,000 that's just Flatbush from Parkside to Empire, right? Whatever that's happening, how do you make that go as far as you can in
Yeah.
terms of including neighboring bids and merchants associations into that conversation, right? Because
I mean, from what I understand, like the funding really has to, like they're very, yeah, like it has to be specifically for that area.
Yeah.
However, I'm thinking in terms of just like, maybe if the other organizations want to partner in, let's say, programming that happens in that area, they could, and that could maybe perhaps, you know.
yeah, I'm thinking more along the line, well, we talked last month a lot about, like, I think someone brought up the term ecosystem, right? And I think wanting to think about thinking in that ecosystem sort of framework. So I think it's more like, oh, here's the 8 vendors we spoke to about lighting, and let's redistribute that to these other folks who might be looking for lighting here, right? Like, how do you take whatever work is done during that time and make sure that it gets spread?
I think I'm missing the point or the point of conversation that we transitioned without actually solidifying what our purpose here is. I know that was something we left open-ended in the last talk, and it feels like some decisions were made that weren't necessarily at the table. I feel like we're definitely going into conversations that aren't really relaying into our last conversation. Now we're on a full-blown merchant association on Flatbush, from SPSBC talking about Utica Avenue last month. So I'm just wondering where or how we ended up going into a different, it kind of feels like we're kind of backtracking a little bit and not necessarily looking at it as a whole district, but by case. And I think something that would be really helpful just for us as a committee is what are our foundations, what is our purpose or goal within the year. We never consolidated that after our last meeting, so it still feels like that question is in my mind, and as we're talking about things, I'm like, I don't really know what our goal or intentions are for the year, so I guess it would be nice if we could like fill in some of those gaps maybe.
So I think that we jumped to the corridor discussion that I definitely wanted to talk about was on the agenda for today because Jonathan brought up that we got the grant for the Flatbush corridor thing.
Okay.
The Flatbush corridor thing, Mark has been working on from the chamber for years. We've been talking about this for many years. So this has like been an ongoing thing. He's been applying for grant after grant, being rejected, so it's finally came through, which is exciting for Flatbush. Unfortunately, it doesn't have anything to do with the other corridors. I would like us to identify the corridors and because I don't know if Rogers has a merchants association like maybe you guys do. We know that Utica doesn't have one. One thing that the chamber can help us with, and I think that Mark is maybe the guy, is building merchant associations within where we don't have them. So I was trying to identify if Rogers doesn't have one. It sounds like Kat is saying that Little Caribbean does some of the work. Do we think that Rogers wants its own merchants association? Because it sounds like when we talked about Utica, we thought that Utica did need a merchants association. And so that's why SBS was with us last week to see if they could extend that.
Right.
We would like to talk about what our ultimate goals are that we kind of got off track.
Yeah.
If we can just finish this corridor thing so we're all clear that there are like 5 corridors. There's Flatbush, there's Rogers, there's Nostrand, and there's Utica. And there's a merchants association on Nostrand and one on Flatbush, and they both are terrible. So, okay.
Can I just let you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Yeah.
I did attend a call with Bridge Street. They invited several businesses to the call, only one person besides myself. Yeah, so they're researching and trying to figure out what else they can do. They said they're gonna partner with Chase Bank, because the last time they had something with Chase Bank, there was a lot more people involved. So they're gonna try that. So I'm on their WhatsApp group now, So I'll get all media updates as they,
It's like really
It's
hard to
really hard.
start.
yeah, but we gotta start from somewhere,
Yeah,
so.
so that's where you is at. Okay, alright. So, do you guys wanna go back to last month and talk about the end of the meeting? We talked about what is the goal of economic development, like we can only do so much.
Yeah, that would be good.
And we had a slogan, a tagline that someone came up with. Do you guys remember what it was exactly?
And have ecosystem in it, that's all I remember.
I think it was,
Yeah.
Well, I kind of mentioned that, like, I know, well, I think I started to think the gentleman came up with a name. It was the drink work. I mean, because I know we went to like a ball crawl.
Anthony.
So I kind of came up with like we should do a crawl of like going to different businesses.
no, we're talking about what our goals are, just as
No,
like
the name, sorry, the name.
vision.
Yeah, okay, okay. Cool.
Not like what projects we wanna work on, we're gonna talk about that next, but
Okay.
just like, I think at the last meeting, they said, someone said consumer empowerment and business
Okay.
support.
Yes.
Yeah,
Does
something
that,
like something like
does that work for everybody as like our goal, overarching?
Yeah, I think it's a good starting point. I mean, we can go.
And then like we can project off from there, okay, so consumer empowerment and business support.
Yeah,
That's the goal of economic development.
that's absolutely.
Okay, cool. I believe it was Anthony who came up with that. He's not here to take credit for it.
He's
Okay.
definitely
I think we're missing the word community in there somewhere.
Okay.
I think instead of
Community
consumer should be
empowerment?
community empowerment.
Consumer
Yeah.
community empowerment, okay.
I don't wanna
Community
empower
empowerment.
the consumer, that sounds weird.
But it's about
Community
purchasing
empowerment.
power. So that's where this conversation came from. So
Yeah.
we are in a low economic disadvantaged community.
Right.
How do we advance businesses without the dollar, the money being spent coming outside of our community, or just focusing in? How do we also advance our purchasing power within the community to be motivated to shop locally? That was something, and that can be through different conversations of financial literacy, how to go about pay raises and compensation through your jobs. Like, that was something I felt like was really important and something that I do feel like should be included within the economic development, considering that, our district is going to be facing a lot of changeover for those economic principles. It's gonna apply to our housing, it's gonna apply to the shops that we see coming into the area. Economics are the foundations for a lot of gentrification, so how do we motivate and empower the community to be able to broaden their spending power?
I guess my question is, do you believe that the consumers in this district don't shop local in their?
No, they do, but this also goes into the economic factors of why. So it goes into inferior good processes and normal goods, what opportunities, like the only Starbucks we have is on Franklin Avenue, and that's for a reason, right? Because Starbucks is a higher caliber coffee chain that will only go into income areas that would afford a Starbucks coffee daily. The alternative to that is Dunkin' Donuts. It's the cheaper alternative that lower income people will most likely afford and go into the room to spend. So there are different demographics, like our food deserts not having opportunities for groceries, or only having, at least on Utica Avenue, there is not a single sit-down restaurant on my side of the district. I do not have a bar to go to. I only have fast food chains and grab-and-go food. And that is within the two corridors. I'm on Utica, and then I have Albany and Troy Avenue next to us, which are predominantly Jewish and are not necessarily open to Caribbean populations frequenting their stores. So these are things that within my area of the district, I do notice very, very it is apparent to me, and it was my motivation for getting involved in the economic development committee, not as a business owner. Because I feel like that I don't have that perspective, I don't have that experience, I can't really advocate for that, but I do know what it's like to be a consumer in the district. I do know what it's like to be limited to my opportunities of purchasing, my opportunities to enjoy myself within my district. Those things, I have to come to this end in order to do that, which I just feel like it would be nice to kind of see these advancements apply to different parts. I shouldn't have to come to Notion Avenue just to go grab dinner and a drink with a friend. It would be nice to be able to walk out of the house just like a lot of us do. That's the benefit of being in New York, is that we are in a high traffic, easily mobile city, that opportunity to go outside and be able to take advantage feel like should be.
I know a lot of people, from our area feel
Yeah.
the same way.
Yeah, I know.
And it's just, it's not a matter of getting a Starbucks
Yeah.
or it's
No.
a coffee shop, a nice coffee shop, or
Nice
different businesses that we have right now,
Mhm.
additional businesses. There used to be shoe stores and
Mhm.
bakeries and
I know, the bakery in the corner of
even the Jewish deli, yeah, there was deli conditions and all this other stuff. There used to be sit-down restaurants.
Yeah.
I've been there that long. Yeah, used to be the actual Chinese restaurants that had a maitre d' that you
Mhm.
go in and sit down and have dinner.
Mhm. Do you remember the diner over on
In Kingsborough?
yeah,
Mike's?
Kingsborough?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mike's.
I used to go there and it was a really
Yeah.
cheap breakfast. That's been closed for like 6 years.
It's hard,
Or for like
yeah,
4
it's an
years.
eyesore now.
Yeah.
But I think that's like, I guess that's the part that I found challenging with consumer empowerment because of that like aspect. So being a small business owner and having like Miss Barb's and all that on our strip, we're still very much so struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And we're struggling because I may lose my business because of the fact that they do not want to renegotiate the lease. Like it is obscene what they're trying to charge me, and it's just not coming in with the foot traffic that we have just on North Street Avenue.
Yeah.
We can't rely on just the consumers in the area that are already frequenting so much that it's like, we understand you're struggling, we're struggling too, and it's like, so our reach is there, but I don't know, I had so many people, there's nobody from staying there from Utica coming in to our side, so it's like, it's unfortunate what's happening across, but I guess that's the part where when I hear consumer empowerment, it's like, I can't beg the people that are already on that strip that come and shop and like hang out with us to do it more. Like my hope is to have the reach so people from Utica know that there are restaurants and stuff that you can come to that's only but 10, 15, bike ride, whatever, walk away. I understand what you're saying, and of course, like that would be the dream, the desire to bring more small businesses back, especially to actually change the community in the sense of, I hate seeing that on Utica, like the amount of fast food restaurants. I have to drive down Utica when I just come home and I'm like, it's blatant what they're doing to this community, it's blatant as hell. But that's just the part that, why I believe that community empowerment would be like just a better wording, and not to be like a whole wording tit for tat, like debate just the way that I understood it, and the reason why I was like, wait, I'm not too sure about consumer empowerment, like everybody's struggling in this district, unfortunately, it is a low income district.
I think we're also still forgetting that as a business, we do have more opportunities or resources. And that's something that I do feel like, as somebody that does, this is something I do find passion in. And I'm just, that's just, I don't really care. I don't feel like I want to keep going one-on-one because everybody else has their own experiences and things that they do want to see. But it does make me think of what our values in economic development are. Because if it's simply economic development for businesses, then I think, I don't know. That definitely does.
I think we definitely need the community to know what's in the community, right? Like we don't want people to leave. We don't want people to spend money anywhere else. We also want everybody who reads Time Out to come to Flatbush, right? Like we want the rest of the city's money too. So community empowerment, I think, works because like it empowers our community, people who live here, to know what's here, right? Like giving them a small business guide for the holiday season would empower them to know how to shop in their whatever district. And then business support is like, I think part of what we're here for, right? To like support if people need our help, to do outreach, to do events, that kind of stuff. Are we missing anything else that isn't in there? Because I think it's broad enough. Both sides.
That's broad enough.
Yeah, okay. So let's say that's our motto.
You wanna put a, is that a
Just to
motion
be,
thing?
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
No.
Just to be the devil's advocate for a little bit. If you
Yeah.
change these two words, empowerment and support, community support and business empowerment, it will slightly change the meaning, but does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we also want it to be community empowerment too.
I don't even know if it could be consumer empowerment, business and support to something community, right? Like I think, but the idea is that like everybody wants to feel like they're voices being heard, their needs are being met, right? And we want to feel like we can do that, but the end goal is for people to keep shopping and supporting businesses in their community. That starts with awareness, that starts with the business being able to provide the services that the customers want, and then the customers leaving their houses to go to those businesses. But essentially we're fighting the internet is how I feel like, right?
Yeah.
In an era where everyone can get anything on their phone in 5 minutes, we are trying to, right, move toward like that's essentially what we're trying to tackle.
But I think of like I spend my weekends in Williamsburg because I work over there, and the amount of people that live in the area, shop in the area, and spend their money in their area is a big factor. And I think
We're
that
also like much more affluent and have very fancy stores over there. It's kind of like part of Manhattan, like, to be honest, it's not really.
but then we're kind of going.
So like Lower East Side.
So then what about Park Slope or Clinton Hill?
I mean, these are all different in different ways, but I don't think business is great in Park Slope, to be honest. I know 2 people who own businesses and they're like, no, it's not great.
It's struggling right now.
Yeah, I
It's
think so.
struggling.
I don't know what the park social anymore.
I mean,
I do-
we are like on a
I
pending.
think it
But I do like
seems
Williamsburg.
really
I
good.
mean, we are in a pending recession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so let's stay focused. So, do we want to switch it? Do
I
we
like
want to
that.
keep it? I think it's okay. Community empowerment, business support.
To strengthen the community impact, consumer empowerment, what do consumers need support with, I guess. I do like what you
Community
said though, about that
empowerment.
it does feel
Oh,
like there's
you
a
mean
lot of
community
power
support.
in empowerment and there's a lot less in support feels a
Oh,
lot
you mean I'll
smaller.
switch those 2 words around?
Right.
Mm.
I think it's good how it is because it's business does need the support. I think should we vote?
We did say we were gonna sleep on it a month ago and then come
Yeah.
back and finalize it back.
Yeah.
I think we got the ideas out there and that's the most important part, so.
Alright, let's just leave it how it is, and if you want to switch it in your mind, you can.
Empowering consumers and businesses to strengthen
Yeah.
community.
Community empowerment, business support, that's what we're here for. Okay, so, speaking of that, let's get back to our ideas for fun things and activities or events that we can host to do some community empowerment. We talked about a bunch of stuff last month. I can review it really quick. Some of the ideas were a follow-up breakfast with resources, a business meet and greet, a business fair, a corridor tour, workshops of how-to, a business mentor event, a business crawl, a business directory for Small Business Saturday, and that is all I have. Was there anything else that anybody remembers?
I think because we just had this clarification conversation
Yeah.
about, I think it's really helpful to, I think I was annoying about this in the last meeting too, right? But it's like, for me, it's always to what end, right? What is the end goal of any of these events rather than just having the events? And so I think, for example, Bodega Lounge, right? Like, awesome home, right? I think a big part of this is about awareness, right? And people knowing what businesses exist in their community and people learning that they can do something immediately in their community or purchase something in their community that they previously didn't know they could. And so I think for me, starting with something that's about bringing awareness of existing businesses to as many people as possible feels like a high priority agenda item.
So that would probably be a directory.
Yeah, the director should kind of have.
And
First
I
of all,
feel
like,
like we
being
could
this
get,
community, I don't know all the businesses there or how to so I don't know. And I've lived in this area for like 45 years, so I don't know. I mean, so I think the business director would be necessary first, then bringing awareness. So I guess we need to kind of like put it like an ABCD, like what's the first things to do, right? And the second.
so last
attachment.
year at the board, like November, December meetings, everyone was like, do we have a small business list of where we can shop? And we were like, we don't. So we've started one over the last year, and we've kind of gotten it to a medium place. But we need to finish it, and we can hopefully get the board to print it nicely for us, and then we can distribute it throughout the district.
That would be great, because we
So then
do
we should do
get,
that. That should be effective.
yeah, that's the Jewish community does
We for
produce a
economic-
directory.
So, I was actually gonna bring up
Little Caribbean again, they have
Oh, she's
a
part of Little
passport,
Caribbean?
Yeah.
but they have a passport that has
Okay.
businesses in that district too.
Okay, sweet.
So that's the only like, yes, I agree, but I'm not too sure if is it something that there's a collaboration then and there's help with or support to Little Caribbean to distribute more of the passports or something like that aspect, seeing how many businesses overlap, because you guys have quite a few on there.
Yeah, right now, I'm actually working on making more updates to it, but the last time, because it'll be the fourth edition, we had about 200 businesses. Some had closed, so we updated that.
Okay, so I don't even know the young lady, I mean, yeah, so I don't know if you can introduce yourself, so.
Oh, sorry, Penny Cummings from I'm Caribbean,
Okay.
Caribbean, I'm the program manager.
Okay,
Wendy Thompson, my first time.
okay, you're part of, you're part of the.
Yeah. She just wasn't here last month.
Okay, yes.
Hey, Wendy.
What's going on? Okay, cool. So, you're part of it. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, the passport so we do it every summer and every winter, so we have another one coming up this week, fourth edition, so we have, over 200 businesses, and then there's a glossary, itineraries, information about Little Caribbean, how to get around, and then every time we make updates, we add new things, take out older businesses that, there's featured ones, like did you know, fun facts, things like that.
And it's all Caribbean? Or
The
no?
majority, yeah, pretty much, but there are like other businesses, like if there's a bit like Taste of the Tropic is not a.
But you're a member, you're a member of
Caribbean
this
business,
committee,
it's
so
a
you're a
staple
member,
within
yes.
Little
Right.
It's not this.
I know, that's weird.
It,
It
yes,
used to? Who owns it?
it has 3 owners now. I think
It
at some point it was.
That sounds about right.
And then like it switched hands and
But it has to have both, I think.
at some point,
Yeah.
at some point it seems to have been, and then it's.
That's like.
Wrong.
So here's my negative, critical, cynical stance, which is it takes resources to keep those things updated. If they're doing it twice a year and they're on their 4th edition, by the time this list is finished, it'll be out of date.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
printing it doesn't make sense, right? So I
It's a
think,
living document.
so I think maybe a QR code that stores can put on their window, and then it's like, did you know, you can see all the businesses in the neighborhood here, I can scan it, I can go to a website and see. But you guys also told me that the notes from the last meeting were too long because they were a page and a half and no one wanted to read them. So what's the point of a printed directory, right? To me, it's about taking the businesses you do know, whether it's 10 or 12 or 50, and saying, hey, do you want to do a thing, and figuring out, is there a way that you can start sort of referring one another to each other and see what that does, right? How, if I go shop at your store and I get a coupon for a business that's 2 blocks away, maybe it's in a different corridor or whatever that is, right? That's sort of that cross-pollination that would at least maybe want business owners to say, hey, how can I get
We're
in
talking
on that
about
sort
what
of.
we can do, right?
We as a, right, I guess that, right, so when I think about this directory, it's like, and then what comes from it, right? So the heart, and then it's just stale and static and stays there. If
Well,
this-
we used to have a directory that we paid for like 5 years I paid for it. It's called like Brooklyn something. And it's every shop in Brooklyn. Everybody pays $150 twice a year. And like they give you free ones and everybody takes them. They're gone in like a couple days. So I think people do like those little guide things. I would not say that. Do people take your guides?
Yeah, we have them, in every, like, the featured businesses that we have in there, each one of those businesses has like their
Has it.
own, and they display it, and people are always sending us, people are always coming to our storefront and asking for more purchase. Right now, we've run out of the 3rd edition, but when we make the 4th edition, we have like fund neighbors, we have the Neighborhood 360 grant. So that money also goes towards money organizing and also getting those all printed. And pretty much since we keep adding more, it's getting thicker and thicker, so that does become more expensive. But people really do enjoy them and having like, and it's a passport size, so it stays that size, every single one. Pretty handy and just kind of exploring the neighborhood, and that's how people have been really getting around it.
Do you, people don't pay at all?
When we first did like the first batch, we had a certain amount where we were just kind of giving them away. We do set aside a certain amount for the businesses that are featured to like give away at their storefront, and then the rest are sold out of our store.
Oh, they're sold.
Yeah, so there's a certain amount that we give away. We did have an idea of maybe doing an adjusted like free version, and then the more like curated one, which has like all of these things like the glossary, the feature, the did you know, the fun facts, all of that. Because we collaborate with different people, so there are people who make itineraries, there are people who write essays that are released into it. There are QR codes.
It's
there
a culture
are,
guide,
Yeah.
as much as it is a common.
Yes, there are recipes.
Yeah.
The last one had recipes in there, so we add kind of every little thing.
But the first one was probably the hardest to do, and then
Oh,
after
yeah.
that it was easier.
Yeah, the first one was something else. So that because that was just kind of figuring out like what exactly do we want in this
Right,
passport.
like do you put
And
every
like how
category?
Yeah, then there was that because it corresponds with our Each Shop Line series. So that's a video series that our creative director does, and it's featuring businesses. Actually, Kat did one with our creative director. That's still in the works. But every fiscal year we were doing 12. So different businesses in the neighborhood, interviews, and we posted on our YouTube channel. We actually posted one today featuring aunts and uncles. So that just gives like more of an inside look of just the different businesses in the neighborhood. And some of those had features inside the passport. And we,
So do you edit the categories?
so the categories just stay as Each Shop Line, and then they fall
Each shop
within.
line.
There are businesses that we're trying to work out what category they would fall under because they're not exactly each shop in line. So that's where it gets a little like, okay, what exactly can we put to make sure it works? Some
Like,
we
do you
have,
guys have barber shops in your guide?
yes, we do. And so those we put under shop, and so that's where that say. So we do have like barber shops. We have retail spots. In the area, there's a lot of restaurants. That's always full. Lime spots are more of like the bars and lounge type areas. And then we do have like landmarks in there, historical spots in there.
So, sorry, just to clarify, under shop, it would be like services and shops
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
barber shops. And
Yeah.
how would people know? Would they?
So
they
there
just have to
are,
go place to place?
So it's A through Z, and then when you get to like the section for shop,
Yeah.
they do have icons
Okay.
on them that will show you like this is
Got
a
it.
bar.
Clothing.
Yeah.
Just wondering for our own sake.
So I
Details.
do kind of have an idea that I feel like would allow us to go more case by case basis, a little more specific. And I think one thing that I would love to see us prioritize is that community engagement, considering that we are that interconnector. I feel like we have a unique opportunity to not necessarily add more paperwork for people, but maybe how do we bridge that gap and create a space for them to partake or pursue opportunities that they wouldn't necessarily know or do on their own. And what comes to mind is like specific events through the corridors that we're talking about. Maybe figuring out a timeline that we focus on a corridor and we have a hosted event where we speak with the businesses and say, let's figure out a way to get tables outside. We broadcast to the community to get people out and like shopping and have different events or like different resources, both nonprofit, also businesses, small businesses that like encourage deeper conversations that not just like for people to take home their papers and also businesses to have access to support through resources that they can have conversations with the kind of things that they need because some things I do wonder about is just like people are busy. Some of us don't even want to read the notes that are 2 pages. So how do we take advantage of the community aspect? Like we're all dope people. Like if we were to get into a room and have conversations and like relay that, I think it would be more impactful in some ways. And also mitigate some of these things like that. It would be great if we were paid and could spend time on it, but this is 100% volunteer. We meet once a month and do our general meetings. So like the time commitment on something like that, even though it would be a great idea, it's just like, how do we balance that? I know that we started the spreadsheet last time and she's still no longer done. So, like you said, the update on it, like those kind of things that would just take a lot of time, and also the turnover of the boards, we wouldn't necessarily be able to guarantee that it would stay. So how do we go about like creating long-lasting connections for people, knowing their community, like, okay, well now this is something I didn't necessarily do before, but like, okay, this is like an annual event that we know the board hosts on a quarterly.
Yeah. That's enough.
One thing I did pitch to Dante because someone pitched it to me for Halloween is very similar to the business call that was brought up last meeting. It's more so like a business scavenger hunt to get like, again, with empowering consumers and having that conversation aspect, where it's, I pitched it to Dante in the sense of that budget that was like left over that they talked about in the general board meeting, like how we could channel that to support the businesses, and let's say that's their budget to the consumers that are doing the scavenger hunt. Here's their prize. So they're getting something from the business that they're not essentially paying for, but the business isn't losing the money because they're getting like the funding back to be able to give to new potential like consumers. And in that aspect of me potentially like bridge that gap with having the conversation, because now it's, they're reading something and trying to figure out what this business is, and then once they do, they get to have a conversation with those at that business. That could be like something that could be annual, because it could be time consuming and do it once, replenish it, and then you just do it differently.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Who was to piggyback off the passport idea, like the Brooklyn Public Library did a passport where you go to every library and you get a stamp at each library, and then when you're done, you hand in your completed book, and then one of those people will win a prize, right? So maybe each business could donate one little thing, and then it's like a pack.
big thing.
Yeah, and then
That could be fun.
Who was behind the Where's Waldo thing?
Greenlight.
Okay, where's, anybody remember this?
Yeah.
Like
Green
six,
Light
okay,
Books.
5 or
What was that?
6 or 7 years ago, Green Light Books did it, like, it was,
They did it for like 5 years.
it was get to know your, it was, the
Oh,
intention
yes.
seemed to be like, get to know your community, but
Yes.
businesses, I don't know if they
They had to
approached you.
hide Waldo.
And Waldo was
Yeah.
hiding somewhere in the store,
That's right.
but,
Oh.
but
So
so.
That's kind of
Ducks.
cute.
Because
the kids would
but
come
the
like,
kids-
Also the Jeep Wranglers?
I don't even know about the ducks.
Jeep Wranglers, and then on a cruise, they were hiding ducks and people were going crazy trying to find the ducks.
Oh, really?
It's really cute.
The kids were really
But it's
cute.
gamification, and it's like,
Yeah,
I
that's fun.
I specifically remember the number of, like, I had never been into J&J's before. I have a gluten allergy, I can't eat cake, I don't know, I just never went in, right? I went in, my kids were looking for the thing, I got a chance to talk to the business owners, now we go there, best gelato, right? And it was like, and I think about that probably 3 times a month when I walk by, and I think about what businesses that I had never been in before, but they had the decal with the Waldo on the outside, and so my kids kind of dragged me in, and I just think those, it
That's
feels,
cool.
I think that it's
I think
that
it's a fun one.
scavenger hunt kind of thing, and you can up the ante every year, right? And I think win a chance at winning a $500 prize, and every business puts in $25 or something, and you know that if you finish it, you get into that raffle. I just think that it's,
And we can like move corridors that it's hosted on too. Like we could start off, say, with Flatbush, like you said, this is a lot going on with Flatbush.
Flatbush.
I like that.
You said Flatbush, Rogers, are we?
I feel like Rogers and Notion could kind of marry together.
merge.
They're
Yeah,
right next to each
yeah.
other, there's not a lot on
Notion
Rogers.
is just so straight.
Notion has a lot going on.
I know.
But Rogers is so
Rogers is
scattered.
not- Rogers is not-
It is,
I
but
feel
there's
like
so
it'll
many,
complement.
there's so many
Rogers.
empty business owners
Oh, Rogers?
on Rogers
Oh, yeah.
Avenue.
There's
I
also
lived there for
a lot
years.
of businesses considering how spread out it is.
Yes, there are, and that's, yeah, it's like its own,
Rogers is not.
Jesus.
Um,
It never lasts.
I think if we
I
could,
love the
Just the Rogers.
scavenger hunt idea because we could do it in the spring and it could be like a month
Yeah,
long.
I like that. So
And then we
that'd be
could
cool.
get these guys to print out little things
Yes.
and they go each place and we could,
But
know.
I like that because that's something that can stick around. Like little
Yeah,
things,
like for
things
the
that
whole
imprint
month,
that,
they,
and
people
it can move
keep
on past what
coming.
we do. You know,
Yes.
so we need things. It's
what did we
routine.
call, what did you call, was it your suggestion, not the bar crawl, but the,
No.
The scavenger.
Scavenger.
no, no, I'm saying
Well,
at the
the bar
last
crawl, yeah,
meeting,
like
it
bar
was like
crawl.
the corridor crawl or
Yeah, that's
something,
what
right?
I like.
So no,
But the
I like
scavenger
that.
hunt is
Yeah, I
like
like
a,
it's more
it's
fun,
more
it's inclusive.
theme
Kids get
oriented.
their
Yeah,
I like
kids
that.
can go and do
Kids
it,
and families
and it can be like all kinds of places.
But I do-
Yeah.
I do like that, but go to,
Yeah.
you have good points, but also in reference, I do like the directory because as I was talking to a senior, like everybody's not familiar with the QR code and, you know, and I was on the bus show, she's like, people still
Yeah.
like that, you know, I'm a writer and reader, I do like to look through stuff and cross off and, so, both, I mean, we are definitely in a technology world, but we do need some type of print, maybe it could be summarized, and it doesn't be like long, but like a.
Can we bring back
something.
I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, it
Yeah.
can be like a first
Yeah.
step.
So it
Like
could be
if we
small or
admit
something.
somebody, it's only by accident.
So you're
It's
saying,
not
by,
like
so you're
on
saying,
purpose.
sorry, your,
We
the
made it.
directory was by category. That's what you said, right?
Well,
So it would be
we
like
have it.
apparel, accessories, like an alphabetical.
Well, I think Kenya was saying they had like a key to theirs, but there are categories, right? There's like restaurant, shop, service. I don't know what the three, they have bar, restaurant,
I think for it to
and
be a
shop.
physical thing that you're flipping through, it has to go like mall categories, right? Where it's like men's accessories, women's clothing, kids shoes, like, right?
Okay.
If it's gonna be useful, otherwise you're just flipping through.
Well, it could be like bars, right, and then I guess like clothing, right, I don't know, right, the major stuff, right?
I mean, I think you would wanna know
What
if
is
it was
it?
like a cafe versus a restaurant, right? Like, what are you getting into?
Sit down food, take out food, I don't
Right.
know. I'm just saying in order for it to be useful, I think having it so that someone can easily find that
Yeah,
business.
you
Can
just
I
go
buy
to-
shoes?
Well, we
in
could
this
also
5
do
block
like a
radius?
couple, like it could be like in alphabetical order of every business, and then it could be like clothing, and then it could list them all. Bars, list them all. I mean,
Well, due to time, I mean, my time is very like this, so I like what she's saying, I just need like, if I'm gonna sit down, you have people in town, we wanna sit down restaurant, I need to just go there, I don't have time to look through every little thing, so I
Right.
need like the.
Why don't we make it a document that's versatile, like
Right.
print out, living, that way it's just the same concepts in different forms. Cause like there are people that are gonna take to the physical copy,
Yep.
and then there are people that are gonna be like, well, I want a living document that I can do while I'm on the go.
Yeah,
But I think we should be asking the execution, like how are we actually going to create this?
Okay, so let's
well,
talk
let's
about-
get to that.
Because
it
that,
sounds
Because
like
sounds
that
good.
sounds like,
there are two big things that we want to do.
yeah.
We wanna create a business directory
Mhm.
before the holidays, and we wanna do a scavenger hunt in the spring.
You just added the before the holidays.
I know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what I was
yeah.
gonna say.
Yeah, do a
Like,
mind
If we're
trick.
gonna do it,
No, no,
we
it's-
have
that
to
would
do
be-
it.
that
I
would
mean, we really have done so much of it. We've done,
Yeah.
I've done all of Flatbush.
We have like.
I have
most
a lot of
the
Notion and
activity.
Rogers.
Okay.
The only
But
thing is, it doesn't, I don't know how far, are these all the way from Winthrop to Eastern Parkway?
it's the whole district.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
like, that's
There's
steep.
been a lot of turnover also, so we have to do it all.
I was gonna say,
So I think
But
we
then
should
why-
combine it into one document.
Which we have.
Could we do corridors and
Yours
just
and
say,
mine.
but
Yeah.
by holiday 2024, we wanna have these 2 corridors and then we'll add on in the next couple, like.
Yeah, we could
right?
start with
I
Notion,
said Dante
Rogers,
Notion
and
Ave.
Flatbush.
Did we
Yeah.
send, we
I
have
said
this
that-
living.
I had sent
Right.
Dante and Nostrand Ave one when I had interns over the summer. I don't know if
Oh,
they're
that's
in-
where you got it from.
See,
Okay, cool.
So let's look at the one
No,
that's
we don't
furthest
have
along and then
Notion.
start with that for
Well, I have
formatting and
Flatbush
categorizing.
and stuff.
Okay.
Where is
Flatbush
So
is
yours?
Flatbush-
done.
Flatbush and
Mine is right
Nostrand.
here, and then I have most of Rogers.
Let me see. Cause
So what
this
can we
like,
call it?
the spreadsheet,
West
shout out
West
Regina
or something?
from the past. 'Cause
I think we should combine our
All
two
these.
documents
Okay.
together and make sure that they all have types. And do you wanna send yours to me and then
Did
I'll,
I send, I
Oh,
thought
no,
I
I
shared
have
it
it,
with
I
you.
have it.
You have it.
and then I'll send it to all of you guys and we can take a quick look, maybe glance at it before next meeting. So then we can discuss next
Definitely.
meeting, like
Yeah.
where we're at, okay.
So do we wanna prioritize getting the directory done first and then working on the scavenger hunt?
I think we should, what does everybody else?